Okay, looks like we're live. Hi, everyone. Hi, Steffi.
Hey Gemma, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. I think you were missed in the time that you were away.
Yeah, I really missed you too, but I did have a good time with my mom on the cruise ship, where we sailed across Europe. So it was really good to just switch off. And when you completely switch off, then you feel like you get more inspired ideas, what you can do next. So I'm so happy I had this time with my mom, a really relaxed time and inspiring time. So I had so many ideas for my posts, and I just couldn't help it. There were so many of them.
That's exciting. Yeah,
It's
it's something we're going to be talking about
yeah.
today. We're talking about social media mindset with our mindset coach. So very excited to have you here, Steffi. Hello to everyone joining. If you can just let us know where you're joining from. So Steffi, you're back in London now.
Yes, I'm back in London, and you are still in Mexico City, Gemma?
I
Or
am. Yes, I'm in
yes, you
Mexico
are. Yes,
City. Yeah, yeah.
yes. So this is a great thing. Thanks to social media, we can meet, right? And we can get to know each other and just meet regularly because of that. So this is so good, and technology as well. So again, as Gemma mentioned, the topic for today is social media mindset. So we are going to speak about social media in general, but mainly about mindset on social media.
Mm.
And I guess just very first question, Gemma, would be: is social media or being present on social media even worth our time? What would you say?
Good question. It's something that I think about a lot because I feel like I have a very much love-hate relationship with social media. I know many have told me the same. I love social media because I can connect with people. I connect with people in so many countries that I just would not be able to without it. And I love that I can do that. And once you do build the strategies of, on a platform, it's incredible what it can do for you and your business and your life. But I say a love-hate relationship because it's that balance of I don't want to be spending all of my time on social media. And then now when you have like your own business or you're offering courses or products, you're
Mm.
not just using social media for your personal use, you're using it for business. And you're thinking, oh, I need to, before it was very much hands off. I would be more like a casual user on social media. I'm looking at people's posts, but I'm not really posting anything. And then now I'm having to post and connect with people, and not just posting, but also interacting. And I think in some ways I'm kind of introverted in that way of like putting myself out there on social media.
Mhm.
And then not just putting yourself out there, but the pressure to just always be a certain way and consistent. So I think it can be days where I'm like, yes, I love social media. It's so amazing. And then other days where it's like, I just want to delete my account. Leave me alone. I need to do my thing. And I'm being really honest. There are days where that does cross my mind. It doesn't last for long, but I definitely have those moments. I don't know. How about you? How do you feel about social media, Debbie?
I think my relationship with social media is a little bit less dramatic than yours. That's for sure. So, and Beatrice joined us as well from north of Spain, Biscay. Oh, great. Nice to have you here, Beatrice. So, my relationship with social media, I always knew social media was important because I've been traveling for more than 10 years now, and I was able to connect with my family, with my friends, with some of my previous classmates and teachers through social media. So I knew the importance of it. I didn't have to be convinced. However, I never realized how much or like how helpful and effective they can be in terms of getting clients or students or even selling your resources and things that you have on social media. So that's something I discovered 4 years ago. And I was impressed, like how much impact we can have on other people's lives and how much we can sell our services through social media. And I have to say, I that definitely resonate with what you said about not always having just this love relationship with social media. And I think in my case is Gemma really consistency. I'm very consistent and I have habits around social media posting. So I just recently made a post where I said have been making 3 and more posts every single week for 4 years now. And actually, I did have a few occasions when I didn't do that because I was on holiday or there was something like kind of this kind of reasons. And I really felt bad when I didn't post, which means it was already an established habit. But at the same time, as you mentioned, like it's this love relationship, but then you feel like you must post and you cannot have a break. So I guess this is where I am right now with this relationship with social media. I do understand their importance and I think they are effective, but now how to have this balance, as you said, like online, offline, right? So
Mm,
that's
yeah,
uh,
Beatrice just said the same thing. I could not agree more
yes,
with her. I guess it's all about balance, like you say.
yeah,
But balance for one person can be very different for another person. And I think one thing maybe we can definitely talk about is
hmm
setting boundaries when it comes to social media. So you said that
hmm
your kind of good limit or your target is 3 posts per week.
yes,
And I guess in the beginning, for me, 3 posts felt like a lot. I don't know about you, Steph. Like, did 3 posts in the beginning feel like a lot? I remember thinking,
oh, 100%,
it feels
100%,
so hard to do 3 posts. I take hours to do one. So how am I going to do 3 in a week? Like,
yeah,
whole week will be taken
yeah,
by posting on social media. So it does depend where you are, and also, if you're working at an academy, if you're working in other jobs, it's not necessarily realistic to post. Like, for example, Gary Vee, who's really big on social media, he posts 3 times a day, has done for many years. 3 times a day is just not possible for the majority of people. He has a team to do that. He's established a lot of habits. Like, he didn't start that way. And if he did,
mhm,
he had support, right? So sometimes we can look at what other people are doing and
mhm.
feel bad and like, why can I only put 1 post together a week? When there's people doing 3 times a day, I must be really bad at this. Maybe I should just give up. I don't know what you think, but that's definitely gone through my mind in the beginning. And I've spoken to other teachers in our community who have told me kind of things on the similar lines to that of I everyone else is so good on social media and I'm not. I must be really bad. Like maybe it's not worth my time. And that
Yes.
creeps in with the mindset.
Definitely. And I think here comes this comparison when we compare ourselves with other people, like how much they post. So I know there are a lot of teachers who, when they start their journey, of posting and being active on social media, and when they see others who've been posting already for like 2 or 3 years and they make consistent posts or even recycle a lot of them and just make few adjustments, then when you compare yourself when you're just starting to those people, that is not fair on you and on anybody else.
Wow.
So it's very important when I even encourage teachers to set habits around social media, to set realistic habits. So when you are just starting, we say to them, even don't do more than 1 post a week. Or even just to start with, like maybe 1 post in 2 weeks, if that's too much. And
Yeah.
then slowly, maybe 1 post a week. So even now at my stage, when it's really relatively easy for me to make posts, I have a lot of ideas, I can recycle a lot. I made more than maybe 700 posts already over 4 years.
Mm.
And so it's easy for me to kind of like recycle things and everything. But
Yeah.
yet, I feel like if I do 3 per week, I'm already happy and I feel like this is good enough. Most of the time, I do 4 or 5, of course. And even I have days when I do weeks when I do 6, exceptionally 7, but this is not very happening very much. But I always say if I do 3 and more, I'm already happy. So we should all see where we are in our life. Do we have full-time jobs, part-time jobs? How much we do know about our niche, about the audience, or about the ideal students we want to work with? And all of this considering and how much energy we have and other commitments, then we decide on like how much present we want to be on social media. And it's our journey, so we should own it, not comparing ourselves with others.
Exactly. Yeah, really well put. I think with the beginning, it is harder because, like you said, now you have 700 posts to go back to.
Yeah.
Maybe you can recycle them, or you can just go back and be like, oh, yeah, that posted well. Or I can do something similar to that, but relate it to maybe something that's happening right now in my life, or even going back and repurposing it in some way. There's lots of things you can do. But in the beginning, you don't have that luxury to go back over all the posts that you've done.
No,
You
no.
actually have to build the habit, and it's like, what's going to work? Is it good? Is it bad? So that's really challenging in the beginning to first go out on social media and put your first post and to establish the habits of doing it. I remember how long I took the 21-day challenge, and one of the tasks was to write a fundamental article.
Yeah.
And I remember that fundamental, and we also had the templates of exactly kind of what to write, and I still really struggled with that one piece. There's a lot of overthinking as well that comes into your first post. So I'd love to, like, how do you kind of counter that now with what are people going to think of my post? What are, that's also part of the mindset of like taking so long, and that perfectionism and all of those kind of areas that come up with your first few posts.
Definitely, Gemma. So for me, at the very beginning, I think we have to start with small actions. So for me, I'm not very proud of it, but well, I did it. I was just kind of copying and pasting some idioms and phrasal verbs from Pinterest. My very first 2 weeks or first month of my posting on social media was just copying and pasting. I think I put there maybe where I have it from, but still it was nothing mine. I just had very little input. But because I knew at the very beginning my aim was to just build that habit of being regular, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. And then maybe after 1 month, I started thinking on my own, like, what can I actually do that will be relevant to my, students, ideal students, to my niche that I was calling my niche. And then step by step, I was creating more and more my stuff. So kind of more my personality and my knowledge of my ideal students was showing up then in my post later, not in the first month, not even in the second. Maybe I start understanding little by little in the third month what should I post about. And I remember, Gemma, so that was posting. But then even more difficult was my first video. I know the next topic for the next will be more videos, but I just remember because you mentioned perfectionism. So I recorded a 30-second video where I just introduced myself, literally like nothing specific or special, just introduced myself to my network. And it took me 3 months to get the courage to come, with this video, then about 3 hours to create the script, and then another, I don't know, 2 hours or 3 hours to edit it. So, this 30-second video took me 3 months pretty much to create. And it was just because I thought I had to be perfect if I'm going to show my face to someone, because just copying and pasting something from Pinterest was not difficult, right?
Yeah.
And but if I had to show my face there, I felt like I need to be perfect. I need to sound like I'm an expert for my audience. I've been doing it for a long time. And then when James at that time told me, like, you just need to show up there for 10 seconds and just say, hi, I'm Steffi, and I would love to help you with this and that, or this is what I do. That's enough.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't kind of aim for like 100% or even 80% kind of perfection with that first post or video, whatever we make. Just start somewhere, however imperfect it is. And my first video was definitely not perfect, but
Yeah.
it does take a lot of courage, just the very first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, we are going live to support the community. And the reason why we're kind of focusing on social media is because we've had so many people. I feel like it's not just it's always a hot topic, but especially the last few months, we've had a lot of people reach out and realize with surveys and speaking to everyone that it's one of the biggest challenges is like social media, consistency on social media. And I see if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I see a few coming through. Unfortunately, I can't see who you are, but they said, hello from Ottawa, Canada. Great to have you join us. You sharing your struggles is encouraging. Yeah, I think and in some ways we will probably touch on this, but that comparison is, you see people at a completely different stage of their journey. And I even had a session this morning in our academy, and someone was like, oh, but you're always so good at posting. You're always posting all the time. And I'm like, I haven't posted on my LinkedIn for more than 6 months. Like, really, I have not posted once. I'm the worst. But the reason, what happens is when you do start to establish your habits, I feel like it does get to be easy. I'm still getting people reach out to me. I've established who I am. I am still able to, I built that social media. So another question is it worth it? Absolutely, yes. Because if you start to build, a relationship with your audience, if you start to show who you are and become known, then you will start to build a lot of connections where you're not really needing, yes, it's great to post. I know I could be doing so much better. But there are times where if you do take a bit of time off, coming back isn't going to really have a huge, I have posts there that people can go to and learn about what I'm doing. They can see my content that's already there that I've done. So it's like putting the hard work in the beginning and establishing that. Of course, I need to be more consistent, but also now it's like, don't feel like I'm always consistent or everyone is perfect and has it all together, because that's definitely not the case. And sometimes I went from LinkedIn and I've been focusing more on building the habits there, and then I went to a different platform. I went to Instagram. So that's also can be when you go from one social media to another and establishing those habits, then to another platform. Or it's like, well, which platform? I want to be on all of the platforms. There can be a lot of overwhelm when it comes to social media of like, where do I start? Do I go on all the platforms? Then it's like, I want to be on all of them, and then I'm on none of them. So you have to be careful with that too. Yeah, there's a lot there.
Gemma, because it can get quite overwhelming then if you focus on too many platforms and too many even formats of your social media content, that it's too much, right? So that's why starting with little, and as you said, Gemma, many people are starting at different points. So like for me, before I used to change my profile picture on Facebook every 3 years, and apart from that, I didn't do anything else. So I was starting from zero, like honestly from zero. There are some teachers who already are making like 3 posts a week or 5 posts a week, and they love doing it, so they are starting somewhere else. Wherever you start, you need to set action that is realistic for you. And a few things that you mentioned, Gemma, so this perfectionism for sure. And I feel like what really is helping me with social media, with everything, but with social media as well, if I'm really struggling and try to be perfect too much, my aim is actually to make the most imperfect post ever. Right? And then it kind of like drops all these kind of expectations, and you just feel like, okay, I'm just going to make an imperfect post or video or anything. And I think the biggest danger is to try to be perfect. So and actually by yeah, it's not even possible to be perfect, but this is actually like a limiting belief then, like I need to be perfect to even do anything. You don't need to. So if you even aim for 10% of whatever your potential is, or even 2% with the first post, or even 1%, is already good. And
Yeah.
then the habit comes, and of course the more you do something. So because I already made 700 posts, it's easier for me to write them. Now maybe I have other challenges, as Gemma said, like it's never, at no stage you are perfect, like you've got it all figured out. Maybe my challenge now is not to kind of make posts like I'm really consistent, but for me it's not to do them actually when I'm on holiday. So I have another challenge, like I build this habit so solidly that I cannot stop, right? And this is bad as well. Like if like you are overeating or you are eating when you shouldn't be, then I'm making posts when I shouldn't be making them. So we do
Yeah.
have challenges, and I think it's okay to have them at
Yeah,
any point.
definitely. And you were saying about putting out your first video and the fear around that, or putting out even your first post. I remember it's same for me. You said it took you like almost 3 months, like to put one video. It actually took me about 8 months on like, from the beginning of my journey before I posted my first ever video, or even my face, because I used to I didn't want to put my face on social media. Like before, in my personal accounts, I would post like trips and travel, but never my face. I don't think in up until 2020, I'd never posted anything with my face on. And even when I started my journey, it's like, oh, I don't really want to post a picture of my face or a video. And it's like, I just didn't have the courage to do that. I felt really, really out of my comfort zone. But it's
Mm,
weird because it's not that I was like really shy. I would go on and Zooms and teach in my class. So I could do it in classes, but it's like sharing it on social media for the whole world to see. That
mm,
really felt very scary. And it's kind of crazy to think about that now. And people don't see that that was me 4 years ago. They just see that I have more than 200 reels on Instagram where I'm doing all of these videos. And it's like hard to believe that that was me. People were like, no, you can't be that. What? Are you really? Now you see where I am now. But it's like, it took me 8 months to have the courage to post a video. So similar to you. And you said it's a limiting belief. It really did stop me. I think one thing you said was very helpful was just putting together a very short video. It's like, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I do. It's just something really short would have been like, I remember it took me about 200 attempts of recording just me saying, hi, my name is, like really embarrassed. But it took me a long time to do that. So yeah, my point is that we definitely all start somewhere.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Actually, Morris is making a comment, and I would like to respond to that. So, how many video posts are reasonable to start with on a weekly base for an absolute starter on social media? And by the way, Morris, congratulations on your first video, or the video you share with us. And Henriette is happy for you as well. You did really well. So, I think at the very beginning, it depends on where you are, how much you want to be present on social media in terms of like how serious you are about either being an entrepreneur or selling your resources or your digital programs, whatever you have. Because I know there are some people who are happy to be in their full-time job and they just want to test it. So for those people who just want to test it and they don't even want to shift to it like necessarily, I would just say make one post a week to start with. But if you are starting to be really serious and like you're all in this and your time allows you to have that, I would say, I don't know, Gemma, if you agree with me, because somebody else asked that question too, I think Anna, 3 posts a week, a minimum, is enough for you to establish your presence and for people to go through your posts if they binge read or watch your videos or whatever. So it's enough for you to show them that, okay, I'm really serious with this, I'm doing it. And at the same time, if you feel like you should compromise the quality too much, if you make like 5 or 7 posts a week, it's better to just stick with 3. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
So 3 posts to start with. If you have more time, you can do more posts. But at the same time, I know Gary V is probably a different kind of case or situation. But I feel like me myself, this is my opinion. Sometimes it's good actually not to post for a week or 2 when I go on holiday because I get refreshed and I come with different view and ideas. So I think it's good as well to have this fasting from social media for your audience as well. So I mean they can pick because I think Anna mentioned what if they get bored? So people can unfollow you if they want to. And I guess for you to keep them engaged, you have to be engaged yourself in what you do. And if you feel you are burning out because of social media, just go on holiday as I did and then feel guilty that you don't post. No, I'm joking. I mean, it's good to just fast from social media too for your audience, for yourself. And what I've learned with time, I didn't know it at the beginning, that it's good to share different formats. So I was just starting with posts only, then pictures, as Gemma said as well, like kind of like not subjective pictures, like pictures from Pinterest, not me there. Then after 1 month or 2, I was showing my face already in pictures. Then I was starting with videos after 3 months. Then maybe after 5 months or 4 months, I was making my first carousels, so like slides. Then I was making my first reels and different things. Then articles, I was writing articles. So and it depends on you as well, how you are as a person. I prefer to speak. I don't write writing as much like articles, but these different formats for you to kind of get people engaged, not to have them bored, but at the same time, you can try different things. So it's good to have different formats, right? Would you agree, Gemma?
100%. Yeah, I think so. Also, I would say though, it does depend on the social media channel.
Yeah.
I think 3 times per week is really great on like Facebook, LinkedIn. For example, on YouTube, posting videos 3 times a week is obviously too much.
Yeah.
It's ideal if you can do that. But I know speaking to, so we have a few big YouTubers, Emma, like Emma being one of them, and she told us recently that she stopped, like me, she stopped posting for 6 months. She was like completely burnt out, and that can happen. And she was posting quite regularly on YouTube. So I think it's interesting how you said about fasting from YouTube. And people worry like, oh, what about the algorithm? What if like my account is going to be, limited in some way, or maybe I'm going to stop getting support. And I see it as, it's not just a sprint, it's a marathon with our business. We need to be sustainable. We need to enjoy our business and what we're doing, our projects. So like you said, I take that time off, and maybe taking that time off for a week. Okay, sure, it might affect it just a little bit, but it's going to help you sustain for the long term. That's what I agree with having that fun. It's okay if you need to take a break. Don't be hard on yourself if you don't post on your channels for a while. And then, yeah, sorry, go ahead. I don't know if
It's
you.
just I agree with that. And actually, speaking about Gemma, because she was sharing it, and she would be okay if we share it. She felt she would be punished by YouTube if she came back after 6 months. Like, okay, they would not help her with the following, but actually, she said nothing happened. She was just continuing the same pace as she was doing, and she felt even more inspired and motivated to do more kind of work on YouTube. So we even think we are afraid that the platform will punish us. It may affect, to some extent what we do, but not really. So it is okay to take a break when you go on holiday, and even if you go on holiday 4 times or 5 times a year, and to have a break, it is okay.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be hard on
Okay.
yourself. Like,
Yeah,
oh no, I can't. I shouldn't go back to it now because I've
yeah,
just ruined everything. Right? I know I've had that feeling. And also, one thing is, for example, with someone mentioned, great tip to have different formats for social media. So for me, sometimes it's like, okay, it's quite challenging to put a video out, but I would like to maybe do a video once per week. That's a big challenge. But maybe there's ways of making things easier. Like in a month, okay, I would like to have maybe 2 posts a week and maybe like 8 posts in a month. Maybe 10 would be really cool. And it's, for example, for me, I had a LinkedIn newsletter. And I was like, I can't realistically do that every week, but I would like to do it twice per month, every 2 weeks. And having different formats that works with me. For example, in the weeks, I used to post 3 times a week on LinkedIn. And the times where I couldn't think of something, or I was like, I want to kind of do something a bit different, I would do a poll, for example, a LinkedIn poll, and just, I was like,
yes.
okay, I can ask a question, and it's going to be getting some engagement still. And like, there are, obviously, I'm not going to do that all the time, but it's like there are ways, for example, with just
Mhm.
sharing a picture or sharing a quote or something, or I sharing at least something to keep up that momentum of posting. That's something that I did. It's just not always helpful, but it's using different formats. It doesn't always have to be one type.
No.
So video can be very helpful, effective, but I think it's like, okay, maybe I can't get a beautiful carousel out today, but I can find a really nice picture and maybe share a little bit about my habits today, or sharing about something, a resource or something today. It doesn't have to always
And,
be.
and actually, yeah, that's good, Jim. And actually, sometimes the posts that I spend the most time on got the least engagement because I try to make them too good and too perfect. And very often, the things that surprised me was that I just ask one question. So, like, it was like one question post. Like, for example, now that my audience is teachers, like, what is the best experience you've had recently, in your classroom? Or, what is your favorite platform to use when you teach
Mm.
your students? So kind of like just one sentence question, because I'm really curious about them and my teachers, and for them is as well like, wow, now I can share what is my favorite experience. And actually sometimes this kind of posts, which are like lazy posts or lazy content, gets the most engagement,
Mm.
and it's special. So and they literally takes 1 minute to ask the one question and to make it one question post on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere. So we don't have to necessarily spend 1 hour making one post or 2 hours. We can combine it. So of course my first post, when I already say not the ones I was copying from Pinterest, I mean the ones where I put some energy, took me 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, even the very first ones, because I had no idea what components a post should have. So I was learning and implementing it at the same time. But then I go to the stage where I got the post ready, like a brand new post in half an hour, or even just with a few adjustments I recycle the previous ones in 5 or 10 minutes. Like literally, honestly, I just change a few questions or a few tweaks here and there, and maybe change the picture. So it doesn't have to take that much, but at the same time, be prepared at the very beginning that it may take you longer to develop that skill. I don't know how long it will take. Some people take a few weeks, some people a few months. But yeah, it doesn't have to be that scary time wise, right, Gemma? What do you think?
Definitely. And I think one thing that would sometimes mm,
Mm,
stop me in my tracks was like inspiration, and how can I find
yeah.
inspiration for the content? I'd love to know where you get your inspiration, but I think something that helped me, you mentioned about the one question, is what kind of conversations are you having all the time, or what conversations are happening right now with your friends, with your family, with your students. I get inspiration from my life, and I like to write them down in my notes. So, for example, that was a huge game changer for me with creating reels on Instagram, because when I was having conversations with, my mom or my family, sometimes they would use words and I'm like, oh, that's a good one for me to teach. So I would like write it in my notes on my phone, and I always have, my phone is basically attached to me. Like, I'm sure people can relate. I always have my phone with me, so I was like, oh, I can write that one down, and I had a list. And then when it actually came to putting, I'm not so good at sitting there and being like, what am I going to post today? So I'd love to know, where do you get your inspiration from, Steffi, for your post? Because I feel like that's something that can really hold me back. What am I going to post?
Yeah, so very good point, Gemma. I think I will mention two examples because before I was a teacher entrepreneur and my niche was psychologists who were using English as, for their therapy sessions with their English speaking patients and clients. And now I am mindset coach for teachers. So before, when I was teaching English, I was taking my inspiration from some of my friends who are psychologists and by asking them questions directly from the people from that niche. The second one, I was reading the posts from my niche, from psychologists on LinkedIn, different posts, and I was making comments and I was learning about what's going on in that industry, why do they need English, and things like that. And so that was the second one. The third one, I was messaging them. So when you send the first message, second message, you get to know about them a lot because they reply to your messages. They tell you what their challenges are when it comes to communication skills. So I was taking that as inspiration. The number for my clients, when I got clients finally, then they were sharing, and in the sessions we had I had a lot of ideas what I can post about, because a lot of things came up in those sessions with my clients, students. And then the fifth one, as you say, Gemma, because even if we teach language to somebody, there is still a lot of mindset included. So my best mindset shares, and I do it even now as a mindset coach for teachers, is the challenges I have or things I come across, or
Yeah.
I see people coming across some challenges, and then I make those observations and then I post about it. But usually I make the most posts following my own challenges. So it feels like sometimes I'm writing those posts for myself. So I always try to make a post in such a way that I want to come back to that post again and read it myself and get inspired by what I write. Not always I get inspired by all of my posts, but I try, right? And in that way, when it's something really, it's actually relevant to your experience, or even through something you've experienced to somebody else, and you know that would help them. So I have that person in mind. Sometimes I have me in mind, or I have that specific person. I know, Gemma, you are, this is your strategy actually. You have a specific student or client in mind that would read your post. I know this is what you introduced
and I
actually.
and I write them like I'm speaking to her.
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
like if I was to write a post, it's like, okay, what would I say to Steffi, for example? Like,
Yes.
what would I actually write if I was sending this message to Steffi, or sharing this post?
Mhm.
That really helps you to be more authentic, I think. And
Yes.
also a little bit easier to write, because it's like, okay, well, this is what I would say to Steffi. And I find that I can write much faster. Otherwise, it's like, what would my audience, does this sound right? Is this, you start to overthink in that way. So yeah, I really like that. Anna said, post when you have inspiration, when you have something to say and share. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yes. So I wanted to say something here actually. Sometimes at the beginning, I didn't always have inspiration. Now I think I'm more inspired because I'm more into it and I love this topic of mindset and everything, I like potential we have in us. But at the beginning, I didn't always get inspired. So my aim was not to get inspired. My aim was to have a habit of making 3 and more posts a week. And then because of that habit, sometimes inspiration came. And even if it didn't come, or maybe if I wrote something and not many people commented or like my post, anyway, I always try to post in such a way that I will learn something new about my niche, or it will add something new to that field. And any post that I make, even now, I feel like it's a mini lesson or mini something insight. And then because you make your post, you get engaged with your post yourself, right? So you know it inside out what you post about. And then when it comes like a live like this, for example, or any other sessions you will have with your students or for your clients, you will be impressed and amazed how this kind of content from your post will be coming to you, and you will putting it all together like small puzzles. So sometimes even if not many people see your post or not they don't engage, take it
Mm.
as do it for yourself and your future kind of engagement and knowledge, as you are kind of gathering that knowledge and then you put it together. Or even sometimes people kind of like don't comment and like something that they actually like very much. They don't always feel that urge like I need to comment. I me myself, like I'm guilty, charges guilt, because I sometimes read a lot of posts I really get inspired by. I know always I comment and I say thank you so much for sharing this. So it's like, yeah, like ghost. What do you call them, Gemma? Is it like ghost,
Ghosting?
ghosting? No, there is a word like lurkers, and there is another one like people who just kind of read and go through your stuff but never leave any comment, any like. And I had some clients like that, like say, "Oh, I love your post," but they never engaged.
No, and many of them don't. And actually, when I think about what I was like before having a business, I didn't either. I might like a picture, but I would never comment.
Yeah,
Rarely. So for me, I was not used to one commenting on people's posts. I was really out of my comfort zone. I wasn't used to posting, whereas some of you might be. Some of you might be, really interactive and always commenting and sharing. And like you said, there are people watching our posts. Lurkers. That's it.
lurkers. That's the word.
Henrietta got it. Lurkers. I was definitely a lurker on social
Me too.
media. Definitely. Um,
Yes,
and I think so. There's a really good question here that I think Anna actually shared, and I think this is interesting. How many posts is too much? I'm guessing you mean posts. What about the audience being loaded or bored by seeing you every day? I think that's definitely a mindset thing here. I don't know what you think, Steffi, but being bored of seeing you every day, it's weird, but I've actually found it to be the opposite. My and sure, I'm sure there are people who are bored of seeing me, but they will quickly unfollow me or I think that
hmm,
I wouldn't worry about them being bored of seeing you every day if you are posting. But I've actually noticed, for example, on my Instagram, if I'm not posting and I haven't posted, I will get messages like, I miss your content. Where is your content? Like, when are you posting again? And which is really crazy for me to think about. But I had that saying, like, oh, maybe, who wants to hear what I have to say? I mean,
hmm,
would you agree it's more imposter syndrome I hear creeping in a little bit with like, what if they
hmm.
get bored or overloaded with what I have to say and seeing me every day? I know, Anna, I had the exact same thoughts as you not too long ago. What do you think, Steffi?
Definitely, Gemma. I feel the same way here, and I don't think even like this is the mindset thing. But at the same time, not everybody sees all your posts because the platform doesn't show you all the posts from everybody. So you just maybe lucky to see some of them, or maybe 70%, 50%. I don't know. That's one thing. And another one, as I spoke about it, if you try to make your post as relevant as possible for your need for your audience, right? Then, and if you take one post or one content piece as one puzzle, when people go back to all your previous posts, like backwards, or like they binge watch, binge read them, they're like putting these small puzzles together. It's like a game for them, right? If they don't catch up with your post every day, they take each piece as a puzzle, and maybe they will build some like beautiful picture of like who
Yeah.
is Anna as a person, as a professional in this industry. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's like your portfolio of what you do. It's like your proof. Your post is your proof in a way like, this is my knowledge that I share with you. This is my commitment that I'm committed to be here for you every day or every week, whatever, you want to make like commitments or arrangements. And I think that's the beauty of it. Of course, if you get bored by your own posts, then it's the time to take holiday or to post less. So I feel like maybe 70% or 80% of my posts, I really get kind of like happy. Like I feel like I learn from myself, from my post myself, about my niche, my potential audience, about anything. And I think if you are engaged with your posts and you are not bored yourself doing them, people will not be bored. That's my take on this.
Also, with it sounds maybe boring or repetitive to you because you hear it all the time because that's what you're talking about all the time. So, like, and I had that feeling too of like, oh, they already know this, or this is so easy for my audience, or of course it's easy. It's easy for me. It's not easy for my audience. Maybe they haven't considered it. And I had that fear in a way with my courses that I developed. I was like, oh, this is going to be really new, like really easy. Everyone's going to know this. And when I actually offered it to people, or I started speaking to my audience, they were like, wow, it's so new. I never knew about this. And I'm like, oh, okay. It just sounds, it feels, it's not new to me, right? It just feels really repetitive to me, or maybe a little bit boring, because it's like, yeah, I mean, I can teach this in my sleep. It's like my brain is always thinking about this. So that's, maybe it feels boring for you or repetitive for you, but I feel like repetitive, like you said, people aren't always seeing your posts anyway. And if they are, it's like they're starting to see and put the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's really good, because if you start selling something and you're becoming known for something, it's kind of planting a seed, and then it starts to grow, right? And then you start to think, okay, and then people are building a relationship or image of who you are. And it's like, oh, wow, I really like who this person is. Maybe I will click on their profile and learn a little bit more about it. And then maybe they don't do anything, but then they might see another post, and then they might be like, oh, maybe I will message Steffi. Maybe I will find out like what she's doing. And then finally, like it builds up and up. So for us, it can feel like a lot, but I don't think it is to your audience.
Definitely. I actually just want to mention one thing before we answer as well Yen's question, because there's a good question. Um, what you mentioned, Gemma, like what is obvious to you is not obvious to your audience. And that's a good sign. If something is obvious to you, then it means you are at stage 4 of your competence. You don't even know what you know. It's so obvious, like, why should even I share about it? But many people may not be at stage 4. They may be at stage 2, 1, or 3. So stage 1 is, I don't know what I don't know. It's like blissful ignorance, right?
Mhm.
Then maybe with your post, which is obvious for somebody, will be, oh, okay, I didn't know about this. At least I know. Stage 2 is, I know what I don't know. So for those kind of people, like, okay, I don't know, I don't know this. So maybe by Gemma sharing how to do this and this, they will learn something new. So it's a post for this kind of people as well. And then stage 3 is, I know what I know. So you consciously focus on building that skill. So let's say Gemma is going to teach somebody how to be effective in staff meetings. And then if they consciously focus on it, and through Gemma's post as well, they may as well improve that skill if they are at stage 3. And if there are people at stage 4 that they are equally, or kind of like equally good or similarly good at Gemma at that skill, they will just share their experience and insights, because you can still learn more. Like stage 4 doesn't mean you will never learn more, right? If you're an expert in one field, you always need to be learning. So if people are already at your level, then you encourage them to this kind of peer, like really nice conversation. So you can never get, like you can never bore somebody, or like do things feel like, oh, okay, it's obvious, I'm not going to share it,
Or it's too easy.
or it's too easy.
Yeah,
Exactly. Or it's too
exactly.
easy.
And if there
Yeah,
are people who say that it's not worth your time, there are
exactly.
no.
That's actually a good question as well. So maybe let's just do this one, and then Ian had a question. So if people share negative feedback, or they leave negative comments on your post, what do you do in that situation, Gemma, or anybody else here who had that situation already?
It does depend on the comment and the platform. So
Yeah.
to be honest, places like Instagram, sometimes there can be kind of silly comments. It's not even like, it's kind of funny. You just kind of have to laugh at it. Honestly, I would just delete the majority of messages like that. Just delete them. On LinkedIn, I think it can be a little bit more difficult, because I wouldn't just delete the comments. Sometimes I will sometimes respond, or I used to respond to some of these people.
Mhm.
But I actually noticed that my audience would respond to these people. I didn't have to, which is always interesting. And sometimes I feel like it's not really worth the energy to reply to these people, but it was always interesting. Sometimes I did. It really depended on what kind of response it was. I'm kind of lucky. I haven't had, really bad comments, I guess, in business at all. Like I haven't had anything really upsetting happen. There's definitely been some comments where, people, and I think sometimes people will do it on purpose, because it's like they want to, like, in some ways it helps to drive my posts because there's someone commenting, and maybe like you put an opinion out there, others are going to have an opinion too. And it kind of, maybe you start to expect that. I was really worried though in the beginning. And I think that's another thing we were talking about earlier about posting, and I didn't do it for many months. I was worried about bad comments. And actually my experience has not been bad at all. It's just like I was worried I was going to get a lot of bad comments, and I know it depends on the platform. If they are really bad, I would just delete them and don't even respond. Block, delete, done, and I just don't let them touch me. But there are obviously sometimes, I think the hardest time is when it's comments from people who are closer to you or colleagues, or you're worried about that. I think that's when it can be challenging. But I'm lucky that I haven't really had anything like that happen.
Okay.
That was bad.
Yeah. So I like that there are different ways. Like you can always delete the post, but very often, as you said, Gemma, it happened once to me. I made a grammar mistake in one of my posts, and being an English teacher, that's a big thing. You cannot make mistakes in a way. I still made a mistake, and it's okay, right? It happens. I was writing fast. I just made a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And then somebody just said, "But you don't write it as this, but as that." They corrected me, like literally, like you should know this. And then there was somebody else from my audience actually who started to kind of take it over, and they said like Steffi is usually right, she doesn't, or like kind of like they stood up for me. I didn't even have to do anything, and I just said to them, thank you, I will be more careful next time when I make this sentence. So kind of like sometimes by you leaving those comments there, depending how bad or good that comment is, you're even showing that it's okay to make mistakes, or it's okay if something, like you show your leadership skills when you actually respond in this kind of situations where things don't go well, when not everybody's praising your post. So I think it's okay as well to leave them, of course, if they are not too disturbing or if they are not completely irrelevant or something like that. So
Yeah, I mean, when I say delete posts, is things that comment about your looks or
okay, yes. So,
personal
yes,
things, and
exactly.
it's like just no. But if it's something like that where you've made a mistake, I always think it's good to respond. It's like, oh yeah, and you kind of make a joke about it. It's like, yeah, everyone makes mistakes, and I think in that case, yes, absolutely, I would comment and acknowledge it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, someone said some content creators create mistakes in order
Yeah.
to create engagement. Yes, exactly. And I feel like also not just content creators making mistakes. I do feel like some people will comment in a way to kind of irritate people just to see their reaction, and you have to kind of look for that. I noticed that on certain platforms, but in some ways, it's actually driving my views, and it's actually helpful. So it's like, go ahead and argue in the comments.
Yeah.
Right? So there are reasons, like Ronella said, there are people that are doing that on purpose
Yes, on
because
purpose.
it does drive the algorithm to get more views, and yeah, it's a whole other
That's a
topic
good
for
point.
another
Yeah.
day, I think.
I don't think I did it on purpose, but yes, people usually
There are
sometimes do
people
things on
that do
purpose.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think we have one question maybe that we can end on. Is it this one from
Yes, that
Jen?
one. How? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how do you separate your professional social media from personal? This is interesting because I think for you, Steffi, you have your personal and professional Facebook in one.
I do.
So that would be
I do
interesting to
like
hear
it.
how
I
you
do.
do that.
Yeah. So at the beginning, all my aunts and uncles were commenting. Nobody from my kind of ideal audience, but it was nice to connect with them through my social media this way. And they always send me nice emoji and gifts and whatever. So this is okay. But the transition was like I was a little bit scared because on LinkedIn I had no friends there, professional network purely. So that was easy. But on social media, sorry, on Facebook, it was a little bit tricky at the beginning. So I started doing it a year ago. But it's been actually really, really good because all the platforms are slightly different, so you can be a little bit different with your content. And actually how I do it, so I don't think I ever kind of like just post things like, oh, I just woke up, this is my breakfast, or like this is the series I'm going to watch, just randomly.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, I try to relate it to my audience, so whatever they can learn, even if I share something like, for example, now this was quite personal, but when I shared the photos from my cruise ship that I went with my mom, and I shared like how much I love her and what I've learned from her and how much she inspired me in my life. So I always try to kind of like make it relevant to other people and engaging them, like kind of who do they value very much in their life, or like who do they get inspired by in their life. So even if you make something personal, actually, to be honest, I got the most engagement on this kind of post, not even like my professional post. So I think it's good to mix them. Of course, if I was just posting pictures of me and my mom on the cruise all day long, every week, all the month, it wouldn't be good. So I do try to have like this kind of balance there as well.
Yeah.
um but if you make it relevant to people, I think it's, or to your audience, it's okay
Yeah.
to do both. Gemma,
Yeah.
what would you say?
Well, I think there's two things here. One is separating your professional social media from personal in terms of your usage. And I think that's one thing. And then the other thing is actually your posting and how you're interacting on these. So you're answering like the second part, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know exactly if Jen, which one she's referring to. I'm guessing like maybe both, but I want to kind of talk about the first one because you said it depends on the platform. Like now, this hasn't always been your process. On LinkedIn, it was, you know, you're not family and friends there, but on your Facebook, it's family and friends. And the same for me now. My Facebook is family friends, and I also have like teachers that we're helping in the community. I'm like, you know, connect with everyone on my Facebook. Whereas before it was very much like, no, I don't want to like share my Facebook, and you know, there's a little bit there of separating it. And now I have kind of merged it, and like you were saying, yeah. So Jen said posting more than using, but I think one thing is it is hard to balance. But like you said, the mindset for me around posting personal like content is just how, like, I realized that my audience engage with that and they want to connect with me and see me as a person, and they actually like that. Things for me about my daily life here in Mexico, well, it's not that exciting for me. That's just my daily life. But actually, it's interesting. You know, it was interesting for my students to hear about that because they can relate to, maybe they want to live in a different country, or maybe they are living in a different country, and there are different, you know, cultural shocks that happen, or there can be daily life situations that just make me more human, and sharing those personal things would just make me more like, oh, she's a real person. She's not a business. She's a person. So I think I have kind of embraced it a little bit more to share more personal content. But I know it can be hard. Ranella said balance is hard. Facebook is mixed. I haven't tried LinkedIn yet. But I think it does also depend on the platform. Like on Facebook, I feel it's a bit more appropriate to share. Whereas on LinkedIn, it's still a very professional network, even though I will post. I remember in 2021, I think it was, I posted a picture of me on my birthday. It was a few different pictures with my birthday cake. And that was my best like content post on LinkedIn that I've ever done. It was just me with my birthday, like celebrating my birthday. And it was crazy. From that post, I had a lot of comments like, happy birthday, enjoy your day, you know, a lot of comments like that. But from that post, I actually had a company reach out to me that wanted to work with me. And it wasn't a professional post at all. And I was still able to get a company, a very important company, reach out to me, and I ended up working with them. And it's like, it was just me with my birthday cake. Like, what is happening? So I do think like posting, you worry about putting things out there that aren't that personal, that aren't professional. You put your personal posts out there, and actually they do well. Like you said, Steffi, your personal ones with your mom on your cruise, and people are liking them, and they're enjoying that. A lot of people don't go to social media to learn something. You go to just be nosy and what are people doing, right? How was Steffi's cruise with her mom? Like, where did she go? What food was she eating? Like, that's what people are looking for, not how am I going to implement these steps to
Yes.
you don't go to social media to do that. So you can see why, right?
Yeah,
Also,
definitely.
a balance of having both.
Definitely. Actually, remember there was one post on LinkedIn I made quite personal about where I am from. And it was just 7 slides. Like, I was born in Romania. My family lives in Slovakia. My heart is in Spanish speaking countries. I pay taxes in the UK, but currently I live in France, learning French and about French culture. It was just 7 slides, like with funny kind of things there, and
Yeah.
it was like a lot of engagement, like 80 or 100 likes or something like that. And then I ask, where are you from, or like where do you consider your home?
Yeah.
And kind of like being a digital nomad and being somebody like living in many countries, that was actually encouraging my potential clients and students to work with me, because they saw like, okay, Steph is not just in her comfortable zone in one country, which language she understands. She's learning different languages and she's making mistakes. I even was making videos in French with really bad French, but there was another video that got a lot of likes, just for your students to see how you are learning the language, and
Mm,
kind of you challenge yourself and show a little bit of your personality. Now, of course, if I was just showing everything just personal and no kind of educational tips as well, or providing value in other way, it would be too much. So this is the balance. But I
yeah.
think we shouldn't be afraid to show our like face, like our real authentic face,
Hmm.
um, on
Definitely.
social media. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let me just
So,
share. So we have just we've been
yes, that's okay. So I will just continue. So being nosy is definitely a major reason why I'm on social media, Ranella. Exactly. And actually, these are very good questions and all the good comments, which are, I guess, leading us to our social media, my social media workshop that we are going to have at the end of this month, and it's a free workshop. It's a free 3-day workshop. We are going to share the links with you, so we are inviting you there because in this 1 hour we couldn't just mention everything and all the tips and strategies how you can not just kind of engage with people on social media, but actually make money on social media through your field, either as an entrepreneur or just through passive income as an educator and teacher. And there will be Robbie mainly leading this workshop, and we will be there with Gemma and James and me as well. So we will share more about this kind of tips and techniques on social media, how you can do well there, and even enjoy it, build sustainable habits there to kind of generate money through using social media correctly. So that will be happening again at the end of this month. I think it's from the, let me just double check that, because we've got a few events going on. So this one is from 27th till 29th of February, 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is Boston time. Okay, so, and it's called 3-day free workshop to unlock social media secrets. So yes, it will be very exciting
yeah,
to have you there who is interested to learn more about this. So
yeah.
maybe who will be there? If you can just share who will come.
Yeah, let us know if you registered
Yes.
already. So I've also shared the link to, we have a few before then. We will be doing another session just like today. For that
Mhm.
session, I believe it's going to be you and Robbie sharing about videos on social media. We touched on that a little bit today, but going even more in depth
Yes.
with creating videos and video content. Why does it matter? And really
Mhm.
specifically how to get over that fear. I did talk about my own experience, but you'll be going into a bit more detail. That session is on the 20th of February. That's the next free event. And I've shared the link. You can register for all of the events. But yes, the workshop is, a big event that we're offering, a free event. All of these events are free. So make sure to register. If you know that you can't come to these events, make sure to register still, because then you can receive the recordings of these sessions as well. So
Yes,
make sure to register. Um,
exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. I think that's us for today. I don't know if you
Yeah,
have.
I think there is one more question from Ranella. I think it's just about the 21-day challenge started today. Yes, it did, Ranella. Not sure if you are, I don't think you are in a 21-day challenge, but it's still okay to join. It started today, it's just day one, so it's not too late. And we just
Yeah.
had the mindset session today. So yeah.
Perhaps
Uh,
best for Renella to reach out to you, Steffi, maybe.
yes,
If she
that
has.
would be good. Let me just if I can share my LinkedIn maybe. Yeah, that's a very good point, Gemma. So let me just share that and then we'll wrap it up here. I don't think I can share that, Gemma. So maybe if I share mine here, can you share it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. So
Bye.
yes, so this session today and the next session, the session next week on the 20th, when we will speak more about videos or like mindset around making videos, is just to warm you up for the main event, which is going to be unlocking social media secrets at the end of this month with Robbie, and of course all of us will be there as well. So that will be like a proper workshop, and we will go more in depth. We couldn't do it, in this session. Yes, and that's my LinkedIn. If you want to reach out to me, Ranella, or anybody else.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Just
Yeah.
in case if anyone
And
wants
this as well. Yes.
to, make sure to connect with us. We like hearing from you and supporting you with these events. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed the session, everyone, and I will see you at the next one on the 20th.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Gemma, for being here, and thank you everybody else for your engagement.
See you later.
Care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.